You're with Clement Manyathela.
7:02. Let's walk the talk.
All right, it's 23 minutes now before 11 o'clock. The B20 In Brief is brought to you by Standard Bank, your weekly window into the key insights and conversations that are shaping B20 Summit. And you know, we can't talk about the G20 without talking about women, right? And that's why we've got Standard Bank this morning to talk about the opportunities that the G20 presidency that we hold this year presents for women. South Africa is the only country in Africa, as we've said, that, you know, is part of, or at least is a permanent member. And the G20 presidency marks the very first time an African nation has hosted this event. South Africa's prosperity, however, needs strong economic and trade ties with other African countries. And Africa's potential for that prosperity cannot be fully achieved if women remain excluded from full economic participation. So as one of the leading businesses participating in the G20, B20 engagements is Standard Bank. It's partnered with the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities to host the upcoming G20 Women to Africa. It's going to be taking place on the 29th of August. And the whole idea is to drive just key women inclusion narrative aligned with G20. We've got Lindeka Dzedze, who is in studio with us from Standard Bank, joining us for a chat. How are you doing, Lindeka? Welcome to the show.
Great, thank you. That's a very nice warm welcome.
Right? Well, yeah, that's how we welcome people here at 702. Thank you so much for making time for us. Let's just talk broadly about the assessment of the current state of women's inclusion across the continent. Where are we sitting? How do you see it?
Allow me to take you back. So one of the things that's important in terms of 2025, it's a convergence of significant milestones. To answer that question, it's important to take you that back. In 1985, the third UN Women Conference took place in Nairobi. That was 40 years ago. That was the first time the term gender mainstreaming was actually introduced as a strategy. 10 years later, in 1995, the Beijing Declaration Platform for Action was actually introduced and was adopted by the world globally. And it is still today the most comprehensive body of work that speaks to gender equality and financial inclusion for women. I have the privilege of actually working with the women that were there then, and they are still fighting for us. I'm going to use a close example for us is Miss Geraldine Fraser-Molokete. I'm sure you know her. She's a non-executive board member for Standard Bank. She was 25 at the time. I don't know what we expect of 25-year-olds today. She was 25 years old at the time. Wow. And when I speak to them, and if you ask them, I mean, we've made strides. But if we are here talking about it, that means we still have a lot more to go. And I think if women are still talking about being marginalized, and this is data, right? It's not stuff that I'm making up. They're underfunded, under-serviced, under-recognized, and there's a huge opportunity that is being missed. So we're doing work. So we need to give that credit. But I think as a collective, there's so much more that we can do.
There's a lot of work that we should still do.
There's gaps that we need to get on.
And I wonder where the challenges are, because, you know, there has been some progress in as far as policies are concerned. The dialogues are continuing. I mean, how many summits for women have you attended?
And
there have been recommendations, right? And women are comprising a significant portion of Africa's population. They contribute meaningfully to economic activity. So where do you think we need to push? Because there's been some policies, the dialogue is continuing, but here we are still talking about this.
I love that you talk about that. So this is why I always give credit to government. Policies, frameworks, advocacy, research, like lots of data. It's almost like sitting on a gold mine and you're starving. So everyone agrees that women participating in the economic sector will actually have a huge uplift in terms of the entire GDP of the continent. For us, and I'm hoping to invite you to the event that we're doing on the 29th of August. But what I think is actually the reality now is that there needs to be a global decisive shift, and collaboration, I think, from turning research into results. We've done enough data. Move from isolated efforts to shared accountability. And I think we can work as competitors. There's areas where we can collaborate. That is as banks, as DFIs, as corporates. There's a lot more work that can be done. And this is why we're talking about this as collective ecosystems. So we're doing something here and something there and something there. If we're to work together, so that if we're looking at, for example, finding women, there are people that are doing capacity building, there are people that are doing, don't get me talking about that. We're overtrained and overcapacitated. We need funding. So you need to have move women from, if who's doing what and how does that person pass it on to the people that purely focus on X, and we can move and then we can track it as well. Because if we don't measure, we don't track and we don't report on it, it's going to be difficult to see what are we doing. And if we talk about this now, the Stats SA released youth unemployment numbers yesterday. They're staggering at 46%. Those are people that are at home, despondent, unseen. I had a story of a 30-year-old male who had took loans to study, has not had a single job. You are 30 years old. So there's work that needs to be done, and that speaks across the financial inclusion for men. In that 46%, actually women make up a higher number. In terms of people that are not participating. So I think it's shared collaboration now. It's actually shared accountability. How do we walk, leave behind our titles and actually say, as government, public sector and private sector, let's work together to do something.
G20, what opportunity do you think this presents for that decisive shift that you think is so necessary?
I'm glad you asked. My friends and colleagues are calling me Madam Dzedze, DG. They're making fun of me because it's also why I'm emotional. We're working with the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. We've been humbled working with this department. When I say humbled, I mean humbled. And I'm coming to talk why G20 is something to be leveraged. We hosted... we supported the department, ABSA, Standard Bank. We rallied our clients. So proud of the people that we work with. SPAR, DHL, Edge Growth. And we were, as banks were like, we don't have enough time to do this. We need months. They were like, nah, we're committed. We're doing it. They pulled it off. It was oversubscribed. You had women from across the provinces. Some had not even been to the Sandton Convention Center. I was at a Sandam event last week, Thursday, and the minister was talking about one of the women. She stayed with us the whole day. Those people work. You call them at 6 p.m. They're like, can we call you back? We're going to a meeting. We'll call you at 9. When you send an email, they respond at 4 a.m. In the story I'm coming to the G20 answer, is that she was telling a story of one of the ladies that said to her, normally I sell about 500 Rand. That's how much I make for my business. On a good day, it's 1.5. I made 20,000 today.
A day.
20 on that day, on that trade fair. And this is something that we're all running around last minute. But what is important, what the opportunity that the G20 brings is that we've agreed that as all those corporates and banks that worked with them, we want to partner and start planning for next year. And let this be something that we do year in and year out as a thing. So each G20 provides a platform to actually uplift Africa first. But for us, it's also a strategic opportunity to elevate. That's why we're so busy. I'm tired. Because we want to leverage the platform because everyone is looking at us. And this is where there's declarations that go in. But for me, it is more how we transform our nations. How do we transform our country? How we transform the continent post that? Because it's going to move away. We use it to highlight. And it also, selfishly, I feel like, look at America is navel gazing. Looking at America. Nobody's looking at Africa. We need to do things for ourselves. I think it also gives us the opportunity to say, what can we do? Because we know we can. So those are the platforms for me that I'm saying we're coming up with projects. We're coming with now working together, which we know once the G20 leaves, we aren't going nowhere. We will carry on working with those departments. And that for me is a great thing because those partnerships are not by coincidence.
Yeah.
They are intentional.
That's great, because also we do sometimes get so excited about these big events that happen. I mean, G20 is quite a big deal for us, not only as South Africa, but on the continent. Sometimes we get excited over it, and when it's past, it's past. And there were a woman who made 20,000 rand from someone who used to make about 500 rand, 1,005 a day. Those are the opportunities we must continue to make beyond these events.
That's
passing.
the point.
Okay, I want to take a quick break, and we're going to continue this conversation when we return. It's 12 minutes now before 11 o'clock. We're talking about how do we leverage this G20 presidency to make a difference? What are the opportunities that exist for women of this country, but also for women of the African continent?
You're with Clement Manyathela.
7:02. Let's walk the talk.
10 minutes before 11 o'clock, we're speaking to Lindeka Dzedze from Standard Bank about the opportunities that exist for women as we hold the G20 presidency. This year we'll be handing it over to the US, but so many opportunities here to leverage this G20 presidency and really make a difference and advance some of the causes, and of course advancing the causes for women and empowering them is one such significant thing. And Lindeka, I want us to talk about, you mentioned the 29th of August, the event that's taking place. Tell me why that is important in the context of what we're trying to leverage here from this G20 presidency.
That event actually came about because we work with the department. They've nominated myself under my work at Standard Bank to convene, lead conversations, and mobilize for the G20 Empowerment of Women Working Group. She's the DG, Lindeka is the chair. So the importance of this event is that we are facilitating, they are hosting. Firstly, it is to create awareness around the whole G20 and visibility for every woman and child and male across. It is to highlight the key priorities of the G20 Empowerment Women Working Group, which is care economy. Women are still doing that work and is unpaid. It is gender-based violence, and that is one that is also very, very a challenge in South Africa. And then financial inclusion. So we wanted to guard that, to create a space that is not only Standard Bank, but really brings together leading voices across the continent and the diaspora. Remember, this thing is G20 is going offshore next year. We want to connect those dots now, and then make sure you bring in private sector, public sector, the academia, women SMEs themselves, the people that are actually in the coalface, so that we can talk to them. But one of the reasons we're doing that is to create a space for us where you can have all of these parties, where you can have dialogues that are actually of importance in terms of how do we drive action around what we want to do, and actually have everybody in the same room to drive action-orientated conversation. So we don't want it's not a gala dinner, it's not a talk show. And one of the things that is a call to action at a sector-wide perspective. And for us is where we'd like to make sure that there's commitments and partnerships in terms of how do we partner from diverse stakeholders to actually work together. And another one is an opportunity to establish, implement modalities, because we need support. If these things are done, we need to say it's maybe a coalition of the willing, islands of sanity, of those who are on the same mission, but it's to start that. But it's also an intergenerational platform, and to give flowers to those that come before us. I was talking to you earlier that I was talking to Mam Nora Fakude, who is amazing, well known in Mpumalanga. She's in the transport bus sector, very male dominated. And she tells a story that nobody expected it to last 3 months. She's done such amazing work in that space and actually thrived. And these are people that when they were doing their work, they were risking their lives, their livelihood. I'm in a boardroom. Look at us on social media. We're comfortable. The risk is maybe I get fired, but it's not like I'm not going to eat or my life is it. So celebrate those people, and to know that we're not reinventing the wheel. We are building off other people's work. Otherwise, we lose those lessons. So it's important to do that and to also give them their flowers. But more importantly for me is that we've got speakers. I don't know, there's a lady, Mariam Jamer, from Senegal. She's Senegalese born. She's coming. She's known. She's I Am the Code. If you Google her, there's so much on her. She's on a mission to make sure 1 million women and girls can code by 2030. She's in 89 countries. But I may butcher this because I'm not tech savvy. But she's created an open source for people to learn AI. She's challenged Google, Microsoft at Davos at Worth to say there's no African that will pay for this as long as I'm alive. Those are the people. We have a youth unemployment. Not everybody's going to be absorbed in the private sector. We want people, the reason I'm saying to you, I want you guys to let everyone know because everybody can benefit from that. How do we create that awareness? And it's available freely. You can go and do it. And then we have another young lady, Tembiso Magajan. She teaches schools, kids in the rural schools, where I forget the term as to what they're called, but as kids, we currently in South Africa, we have 400 schools where you don't teach maths, you teach maths literacy. We are family entrenching those kids into poverty. You don't need to speak English. She's teaching them how to code, how to build robotics. They've done drones, prototypes where you can sense distress screams in Alexander because they're from there. So there's solution for themselves. One young boy, he's 13 or 14, I attended they had a gathering. He was saying that they're raised by they're a single father, they're twins, they travel 15 kilometers to school and 15 kilometers home, and often they're late. Yet when he gets home, his sister has to clean, cook. She's tired. He's playing soccer. And that's that care work that women do, and it pulls them back. So we want to create that visibility. These kids will be in the room. Do you know how excited they are? I'm looking to host a bride so that they can be comfortable when they get there. Imperfect English, who cares? They're able to do what they do. We need to create more awareness of people who are doing that work. And she works across the provinces. So for us is to say, with the youth unemployment, how do we create awareness of these things?
Yeah.
Which is why I'm here, so that those who are listening in radios can tell others.
Yeah. And
sorry, I tend to get...
No,
so
I
bring me
love
back.
how you've explained it. No, I love how you've explained it because I think a lot of times when we look at these events, we don't see ourselves in them. And it's important that we see how we are also impacted. And it's not just some G20 that's spoken about in the news. This is how it affects you and the opportunities that exist for you.
And also, sorry, is that we now, this is not a women's conference, by the way.
Yes.
You will see in the stuff that I'm going to show you, men are part of the essential partners, stakeholders to shift institutional power.
Yeah.
And we are saying we work together because it's not, and you know, people have girls, they have everybody. And it's important that we come together as a system. And that's how we've always operated in the continent.
It's going to take all of us. So there's a perception out there that, when you've got these high level type of engagements, they risk becoming more symbolic rather than transformative. So how can stakeholders then ensure that the outcomes of these kind of gatherings actually translate into measurable impact beyond just us having the conversations?
The beauty of that question, and please, Standard Bank is not, we're not, what do you call it? We don't have all the answers. Hence, you've brought other stakeholders involved. And the whole point is we're facilitating conversations where we're willing to get uncomfortable. We agree that whatever work that we're doing has to go somewhere. So there's work into appreciation of those that are speaking at a minister level, but we quickly hone in on the sessions that speak to this. And before we go there, we are engaging the people that are coming, even the speakers, so that there's that theme that comes through that, guys, the intent and the desire is to come out with actionable items, commitments, stuff that we can hold ourselves accountable for and come back and report next year. So if you are coming, we said we're not looking to fill the room. We actually just want those who are willing to roll up their sleeves and work. It shouldn't be a talk show. Hence we're saying, partner with government, G20 will move, but we'll still be here. And it's not just C-suite, by the way. We have the women. We can't solution for people who are not in the room. And we're asking others who can't join to be online so that we can actually have this dialogue and hold ourselves accountable. It's not just Standard Bank. It's not anybody else. It's all of us. That is a call to action, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Lindeka Dzedze. Thank you so much for coming through. I could just tell your passion from this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Lindeka Dzedze is with Standard Bank.